Hello and welcome to WJTS-Inform. I'm your host, Bill Potter. A very special edition of WJTS-Inform as we are in Spencer County at the State of the County addresses. We'll hear from two commissioners in this special edition of WJTS-Inform.
We'll introduce ourselves. My name's Jim Seiler.
I'm Al Logsdon. I'm in my 10th year as county commissioner, and you're in your...
What are we, on the third or fourth month here? One thing, just right off the bat, I'd like to thank Mr. Logsdon for helping me get through. I kind of got put in a bad situation here, and I appreciate what everything Al's done for me to get me up and going on a lot of things, so I'll thank you publicly. I'll thank you privately, but I'll thank you publicly.
I had the pleasure of being Jim's high school principal for 4 years, and that was a trying experience, and now I'm trying to teach him again. When he gets to know as much about being commissioner as he does about being a peach farmer, he'll be the greatest one in the state. We have a lot to be proud of in this county. Debbie said talk to you about the state of the county. Well, Spencer County is a lot more than what we do as commissioners. I want to congratulate our education systems, both of them, for the tremendous results we had on our state assessments this past year. 7 out of our 10 schools were rated the highest rating in the state, and the other 3 missed it by just might have missed 2 or 3 questions on one of their tests all the way across and caused them not to get 4-star rating. They're all capable of being 4-star rating, and as Chamber of Commerce and Lincoln Land Economic Development are out touting why to locate a business here or why to live here, that is an outstanding reason to live in Spencer County. Things that we get to deal with, and Jim, jump in here anytime, when you're commissioner, everybody thinks that the only thing you're in charge of is roads. They talk, and we get a lot of calls about roads, the road commissioner. I'm happy to report that after the tremendous winter we had this past year, as one of the worst ones I can remember since we had the blizzards back in the 70s, we're not getting too many calls about lack of maintenance on our roads. Our road department is doing a good job, and all of you know that live here, but the people watching TV might not know. About 25 years ago, the commissioners initiated a program called COIT funding for county roads. And they initiated the county occupational income tax that generates approximately $2 million a year in good times when we're working. And they set up a grid of roads, north, south, east, west, that no one would have to drive more than a mile to get on a paved road. That was great thinking at that time. Without the COIT funds, we couldn't maintain our roads. I'll guarantee you that, because the MVH funds do not generate enough to take care of over almost 800 miles of roads. And we have a lot of gravel roads. I wish that we could do what they did in Kentucky, because I come from one of the poorest counties in the state of Kentucky, and there's not 1 inch of roads in that county that aren't hot paved roads. But we've looked, the 3 of us, when Dan was on a commissioner and Mr. Gogol not here today and Jim hasn't got into this, we've had planning sessions and talking sessions about could we ever get that done in this county. And sad to say that we don't see a way to do it 100%. But this year, out of the COIT funds, we spent $1.5 million approximately in our 3 districts to put hot-pave about 9 miles of road. It cost us, well, you can do the math, and we do quite a bit of chip and seal, double chip and seal. Cost us about, what, Jim, $15,000 to $20,000 a mile right now. It's going up drastically each and every year. So from a road standpoint, and you all can come back and ask us questions on that after a while, fine. One thing that really concerns us, and we're not council members, but we work closely with the council on the budget, is unfunded mandates from the state. Jim's going to talk a little bit about how the unfunded mandate parallel the new regulations of dealing with offenders that normally would have been sent to state prisons and now be sent to the county jail may impact us.
We are very fortunate. We have a really good community corrections department. They are going to have to step up big, because from the state we've got new rules coming down here on how long you can hold people in jail and all that kind of stuff. We are really going to have to step our game up on the community corrections, and as I say, we've got the people that can do it. Some of the other things that we're doing, as far as I'd sure like to see some more people in the highway department, because we're starting to get a little bit of age in there. And Al can go on this too. Boy, we do a lot with very few, our people in the highway department. We're trying to get them some new equipment. That's very important, because it doesn't do us any good to have everything broke down all the time.
This is the first year, Jim, in 10 years that I've been on the council, or on the commissioners, that we've employed new people. We've done more with less. We were running on the same budget up until this year that we had in '98. We didn't increase $1 in our budget. We didn't replace any employees. At one time, we had 40 people employed at the county garage. Now, we just hired 3 additional ones. I think we, including our office personnel, we have approximately 28 people out there working and maintaining the same number of miles of roads that we did back in the 90s. We did receive some additional funding from the state this past legislative session, well, 2 years ago, and Senator Kenley asked us to be able to spend that on roads. Well, we hadn't bought equipment. We're trying to do the same with what we'd always had. We hadn't hired new employees. So we were in a bind. So we finally decided that when Mr. Kenley sends out the surveys to find how we're spending the money, we'll say we're spending it on the roads, here's how many miles of roads we spent, but we had to have 2 new trucks. We had to have 3 new employees. And we didn't spend it specifically on roads, but what comes first, the chicken or the egg? We had to have a little bit of both. I serve on the, have served, just went off the State Board of Commissioners, and our legislative concerns there were to increase funds for road funding. Next week I'll be installed, and this is not a pat myself on the back, but I think if you want to get things done, you have to get to where things get done. I'll be installed as president of the Association of Indiana Counties, which is the largest organization of county officials in the state. And there will be involved in legislation that impacts us a great deal in every asset. One thing we have going with us that backs up community corrections, an unfunded mandate, states that every child that comes from an abusive situation must be represented in the court system, and no money comes down to do it. So our county, with the leadership of Judge Dart, started the CASA program, a court-appointed child advocate, and we have, I was at the meeting yesterday morning, I don't have that note, but we have approximately 40 children involved in that process right now, and with the leadership of the staff at CASA, who are part-time, Miss Gelhausen, Miss Parsley, and a lady from Boonville who heads it up, and I can't think of her name because I don't see her on a routine basis. I know she's good, but I just can't call her name. We have 19 volunteers, 19 adults in the county that have volunteered to be court-appointed advocates for our children. And that is a cost that is paid for by volunteers raising money. And when we send out letters asking to help, it all goes for that part. It doesn't go for any salaries. I don't think it does, but it goes for the effort. If we went the other way, and we have a lawyer present, our legal counsel, Mr. Lindsay, for those children to be represented in court by an attorney would cost us a minimum of $80 an hour, and the county would have to pay for that out of the general fund. So state of the county, we have a large number of people that will get their hands and feet and minds wet helping out when they're asked. There is a training session, It takes a lot of time, and that's one thing I'm really proud of is the CASA program's up and running. Another area that Jim and I and Dave work with constantly is the county health insurance. We're a self-insured county. The first $60,000 of any claim we pay for, the county pays for it out of the general fund. After that, we have a reinsurance program that covers us. This year, our claims went out of sight. We had some cases where the health was severe, tremendous medical care was required, and our claims are $500,000 greater this year than they were last year. When you're self-insured, that has to be made up locally. The year before, we had about 80% of our claims. They call it 80% claims ratio. This year, it's about 135. Nothing we can do about it except initiate wellness programs, and we've started that. There's a program going on in the county courthouse, led by volunteers again, where they have Zumba dancing. What's that dancing called? I'm close. It's UMBA, I know. And the weight that I've seen some of our employees lose is tremendous as they get in shape. And it's led over to me. I walk my 5 miles every day, and best health I've been since I was 69. I'm 70 now. But we have a lot of things that we're responsible for. We can stand up here and talk forever.
Yeah.
And Debbie told us that the best thing to do is get it started, sit down and be quiet and let you all ask questions. And then if we don't know the answer, I'll be like one of my grandchildren. When he went to school in Tennessee and he's going into kindergarten, they had to take a readiness test, and it was an oral test. And here's little Richard. He said, "What do I say, Papa, if I don't know the answer?" "Tell him you're working on it." So if we don't know the answer to the question you ask us, we're working on it. We'll get you an answer back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Oh, one thing I do want to say, this is too important not to say. This last legislative session, there was a movement to eliminate the business personal property tax. You all probably had this at many of your meetings. But if that goes through, Spencer County loses 43% of our tax revenue. So we have, if it keeps moving through the state legislature, a lot of you will probably get involved in helping us try to come up with some kind of a mediated stance to where we can continue to operate as a county. Can you imagine what your taxes would be if you had to pay for those out of income tax or additional property tax yourself? Thank you, guys.
We hope you enjoyed this WJTS in.form featuring 2 commissioners from Spencer County. Thank you for watching WJTS. We are local people watching local people.